Beautiful. Prognosticators. My bad. The incense. Salakia. I got the incense burning, and I unplugged the smoke detector, but yeah. All right. All right, first and foremost, call Lord Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakadash, double honors to the apostles, the bishops, the elders of Green Millstone. Shalom Barak Pawaryam. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father, which is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. By Hashem, which means in the name of. Yahweh Shai is the name of the only begotten Son, who was sent to deliver the children of Israel from their sins. By Hashem Rakakadash means in the name of the Holy Spirit, which is the volume of the book, the Spirit of Truth. Shalom Barak Pawaryam. Peace to the elect. That's the men, women, and children whose names are written in the Lamb's Book of Life, who's ordained to be delivered in these last days. Shalom to you all. And as the title states, Barak Pawaryam, which is blessed Purim. May you have a blessed Purim right now. We can also say Shabbat Shalom. We're actually in the Sabbath day, all right, which is dictated by the moon, okay, and which is dictated that is the calendar of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. We're in that time right now. And it's interesting because everything that's going on in regards to the war in the Middle East, aka, all right, the land of Israel, all right, aka the Valley of Jehoshaphat, all right, with the mix up between Iran, Israel, it's all prophetic, all right, it's all prophetic. And these people who call themselves Jews today, all right, first of all, they're not the real Jews, all right. However, they look at the people over there in the Middle East, the Arab nations, if you will, as Edomites, all right. If you understand Purim, okay, Purim is a high holy day in which the children of Israel overcame their enemy, the Edomites by way of Esther getting the blessing from Ahasuerus, all right, or Xerxes, if you will, and escaping the judgment from the Edomites, Haman the Agagite. And in times past, just recently, all right, not too long ago, you had the likes of Benjamin, not a Jew, come out and say that they were supposed to be fighting against these Edomites. And they're using the Bible and using these biblical terms and biblical nationalities to justify their doings over there in the Middle East. And what do you know? Shortly after, all right, which February 28th, okay, when you're dealing with the Gregorian calendar, was the end of the month. And then you're going into Sunday, March the 1st, which they're acknowledged also too, the Feast of Purim. However, you know, we're acknowledging it as well. Okay. However, but it makes sense that they're doing the things that they're doing around this time. And it's very spiritual because the March 28th, okay, you had a rare 6-planet alignment, or planet parade, it's called, that occurred February 28th, 2026. Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, all right, appeared to line up along the ecliptic in the evening sky. Venus and Jupiter will be easily visible, while others may require binoculars or a telescope. So you know how you say, you know, when you want something to happen, you say, yeah, when the stars align or when the planets align. That shows you that these people that are governing the world and dictating the policies of the earth, controlling the geopolitics, all right, the geopolitical matters, the earth political matters, are witches and warlocks, all right? And that goes perfectly into the scriptures, all right? Because the scriptures tell you in the book of Isaiah chapter 47, I'll start at verse 12, stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. Yeah, because from the beginning of the inception of America, this is what was used as their tool to gain how would you say, advantage, okay, over the other nations and over our people. Flat out, it was straight up witchcraft. All right, so the scriptures talk about, it says what? Wherein thou hast labored from thy youth, meaning from your beginnings. If so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail, right? So the same deities, the same customs and rituals that they used in times past, they're going to use now for their advantage against the other nations so they can perform their enterprise, which you go back to the inception of America by the slavery of the so-called Hispanics, Native Americans, and the so-called Negroes, all right? Because that's the order of which it happened. They were using witchcraft, all right? You could see going back to, you know, the cat is out the bag when you look at George Washington, you look at, you know, the quote unquote founding fathers, how they had aprons on and Mason regalia on. All right. Why? Because they were dabbling into witchcraft. And it's spiritual too, because when you look at the inauguration, all right, when you go into the word inaugur, all right, it deals with witchcraft and invoking the gods and seeing which way the birds would fly. And, you know, it goes back to Roman deities so you can understand. Now, that's another aspect. You can go back that far as well. How these people, they go back to the Roman Empire, in which the Roman Empire, the pagan Roman Empire, was a nation that gain advantage through wicked deities, through left-hand deities. And then Donald Trump, him last year, 2025, when he, was inaugurated, all right, when it was indoors under that, I forget the name of it, but in the ceiling was the different gods and George Washington, and so they're gonna use these things. Why? Because they're the true Edomites. They're the devil that the Bible speaks of. They're not the children of the Most High. All right. In fact, they're coming up against the children of the Most High, the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. All right, and trying to blackball those people and make those people to be the enemies of the earth and the evil of the earth, and at the same time using the Arabs, all right, and using the people of that region to be the criminals or the boogeyman of the earth, while calling them the Edomites and calling us the Canaanites, the so-called Negroes, if you will, the Canaanites. And that's why they say, they'll use that narrative, curse be Canaan, and this is why you went into slavery, so on and so forth. All right, but this is the spirit. This is the time frame of when the true worshipers shall appear, that shall worship the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahushai in spirit and in truth, coming out with the word of the Lord, prophesying and coming up against this devil. All right, but the scriptures tell you here. It says what? Verse 13. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Right, and that's what they've been doing with the WEF, all right? And you have the Council of Foreign Relations, you had, the WHO, the all these different councils that they're coming up with all throughout time. Not time, I'm not saying a long period of time, within the past year, you can say. All right, was Davos, all right, Davos, Switzerland, all right, all these different schemes and plans and tumults that these Edomites are having to push forth the RFID microchip. All right. All this stuff is propaganda. You asking me, I'm going to say this, and I said it before, I'm going to say it again. 9/11, that was a psyop. That was AI. Point blank. So I wouldn't put it past that they would use the same tactics to push forth their agenda in this time now. Why? Because this is this man deifying himself. Esau, Edom, that is. All right, the true Edomites, the so-called white race that's on the earth today. All right, especially the leaders of America, the Rothschild, these banking families, and the people who call themselves Jews today. Those are the Edomites without a doubt. Now you do have our people who are scattered amongst so-called white people and look like so-called white people are indeed Israelites going back to their fathers. However, we can say indefinitely that the elites, the people who are pulling the strings, are Edomites for sure. Why? Because that's a part of biblical prophecy. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followed. So to show forth who will be in power, the prophecy tells you it will be Esau, just like in Numbers the 24th chapter. All right. Numbers the 24th chapter tells you what? That Esau is what? He's the first of the nations, meaning he is the prime, how would you call it? I was gonna say prime ministers, but he's the rulers of this society. All right. So let's go straight to, Isaiah 47:13. Thou art weary in the multitude of thy counsel. Yeah, because they're getting fed up. All right. So they're looking to make a move. All right. Conjuring up those different spirits, doing their basic little rituals, and behind closed doors, all that stuff with the Epstein Islands and things of that nature. All right. That's a part of their counsel. And they're weary with it. Meaning, in other words, they're doing all these little things. All right. But it's not pushing forth their enterprise. It's not pushing forth their agenda. What's truly going to push forth their agenda is when they fulfill the prophecy of him ruling by the sword. The sword. When they go forth to push forth the, when they force the sword upon their enemies, that is when they will truly invoke their enterprise, so you can understand. All right. It says what? Let now the astrologers and stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these, from my bad. Here we go. stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Right? And that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. All right. There's no coincidence that they made a move right after their Sabbath, right? Because you got to, I was dwelling on that because every time that Amalek, Netanyahu makes a move, right? And from October 7th, the war in Syria, all these different wars, all these different acts that they make is always on a Saturday, right? Which is what? Shortly, basically the end of their Sabbath. All right. Why? Because that's when because the Sabbath, you're supposed to, make sacrifice, or you pray to your God on the Sabbath. See, these individuals, they're praying to their God and they get their blessings, they get their instruction, they get their counsel, and they make their moves. See, we don't gotta be in there, we don't gotta go in there to see it. The scriptures are the indicators. The scriptures is what is revealing this man behind closed walls, behind closed doors. All right? So that's what's going down. Verse 14. It says, behold, they shall be as stubble, the fire shall burn them, they shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame, there shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before it, right? Meaning there's not going to be any comfort, and they're going to get burnt up. All right, I'm here to tell you, man, and that might be my next video. The land of Israel is going to get burnt up, point blank, period. All right, I'm going to go into the details, go into the scriptures, and show forth that that's going to come to pass. Because the scriptures tell you, all right, there's never been a time where the scriptures show you that this place has been desolate, that the land of Israel was desolate. But then the scriptures tell you that that land would have to be inhabited again. Why did it make reference to that? Because what? Obviously, it's going to be burnt up. It's going to be destroyed. And that's when New Jerusalem is going to appear when you read, Revelation chapter 20, chapter 21. New Jerusalem has to come down because what? The ideology of Jerusalem, if you will, today is going to be dissipated. All right, it's going to be no more. And the Jerusalem on the earth today, the true Jerusalem, starting with you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans that have been endowed with this word, have been anointed, okay, will be delivered in the midst of all this fire and return on the earth as the new rulers to set the record straight, to set forth the Lord so that the law of the Lord will go forth. And see, that's another thing too I want to say, because you have all these different, Muslims, and especially Jake, and, believing in Islam, and, why is they getting smoked left and right? All right. Why is the Ayatollah, which when you go into who the Ayatollah is, all right, according to definition, that's basically the high priest of Islam. How he just getting smoked? How he just getting knocked off knocked off of course? Because what? The Most High, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, is not dealing with no Ayatollah. The Most High is not dealing with Iran. They're just set up as a puzzle piece to bring forth the bigger picture so you can understand. All right? Which is what? The children of Israel, the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans to be delivered. However, they are going to try to tie in our people with what's going on in the Middle East. That's why a lot of you Israelites that are out there, you over there siding with these people and saying, the hell with Israel. You call yourself making a stance of what's going on, okay? Over there, you're making a fool of yourself. All right? You're not the prophets. Okay? You're misrepresenting the truth. Okay? This is the book of Matthew chapter 24, verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence, earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows, right? And now, the key point that I would like to bring out, okay? Let's go up a little higher. Verse 5. For many shall come in my name, saying, I'm the anointed, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Right? So when the scriptures tell you, it says what? There's rumors of wars, because what? The propaganda machine is moving. Because all these, blessed Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai for this scripture right here. All right, and see, and that's why Apostle Zahar has been pushing the aspect of these other Israelites seeing these things come to pass, seeing the war in the Middle East, and you could tell, and through the spirit, through extrapolation, these individuals they ramped up because in their mind, deliverance is going to come within the next 2, 3, 4 months, or whatever the case is, 2, 3 weeks, however they see it. Right, but that's not the case. Just like Yahweh Shai said, Yahweh Shai gave the warning and so forth. What? When these rumors come to pass, what? It's not yet. All right, and that's another thing. Yahweh Shai, basically prophesied of AI, and I'm through the spirit. All right, through the spirit, Yahweh Shai, because and I'm just speaking as a man. I don't believe half the shit they fucking showing. All right, just like 9/11. 9/11 was a shit show. That was fucking AI. That was a psyop. After all the evidence prevailed, they showed forth that it wasn't no planes. It was straight up bombs. And what we saw on TV was a fugazi. So all this different AI, and we got the AI that we have in modern time, right? You can download an app and create a whole segment on your own, and it'll look glitchy. It'll look a certain way to where you can tell, oh, that's AI. You think Esau don't got something to where he can show you and then make it look like it's real, and make it look like it's coming off an iPhone 15, whatever that came out, or Android 25, whatever they got. Like it can't have the same graphics as as a smartphone. You got another thing coming. Now, don't get it twisted. See, and again, I gotta make reference back to Yahweh Shai all over again, because this is what Yahweh Shai told us. He gave specific directions. He gave specific details. Wars and rumors of wars. So he's basically saying, you're gonna hear about wars, you're gonna see about wars, there's gonna be talks of war, but it ain't yet. It ain't the real deal. That's what a rumor is. Let's go to that word rumor. Let me play it.
Strong's G 189 Aka.
Right? It says the sense of hearing, the organ of hearing, the ear, the thing heard, instruction, namely oral, meaning it's all talk of preaching the gospel, hearsay, report, or rumor. Yahweh Shai couldn't go back and say, oh, they're going to show you AI, so on and so forth, because we understand that it's all about the central bank system. It's all about Esau Edom performing his enterprise through implementing the MOTB, the mark of the beast, the RFID chip on a global scale. You see? That's what it's all about. That's what the propaganda machine is all for. All right, you even had Andrew Tate come out and say, man, he even said, man, this is all bullshit. Nothing, this didn't happen, that didn't happen, this happened, that happened. All right, and I'm gonna tell you it was spiritual because I saw that video that Andrew Tate had made, and I wanted to send it to the Elder Ariala, and then when I went to go on YouTube, his video popped up, World War III algo. I believe it was his latest one, unless he made one within the past couple days. All right, the one he made, he said, yo, man, and the thing that stood out the most to me was at the end of the video, better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof, right, is that how the hell all these alternative media news networks and all these different individuals know that America was going to strike on Iran already. And Apostle Zahar even mentioned that how, this is all about, really, it's to manipulate the markets. All this stuff is to manipulate the markets. All right, the priest Iwad, the brother even said to me, he's like, yeah, man, that's the beginning of the news, or the end of the news segment, because when these newspapers, well, they don't got newspapers per se no more, but when information goes out, whatever happens on the weekend is the news for the week. All right, so these things are done strategically because of their witchcraft, because of them pushing forth that propaganda machine, all right, to show forth that he is God, because that has to get fulfilled as well. All these things are being done to gain mind control. That's what Debo was doing. When Debo came around, it was all about mind control. That's the big bully on the block. If you don't understand what I'm saying. The big bully on the block is all about mind. The bully on the block is all. I never met a bully who didn't try to manipulate minds. All right? It's all about mind control, because the bully's not really tough. The bully just knows how to manipulate minds. And that's what America's all about. America's all about manipulating minds. So what the fuck we see could be complete. Remember, there's no more Russia Today. There's no more Press TV. What happened to that? Why is that? All right? So we're going to do what Yahweh Shai said. All right? Hold fast till I come. All right? He said, what? All these are beginning of sorrows. They didn't even get jumping yet. Because what? The real show is going to take place in America, man. All right? Now, of course, when you deal with prophecy, Ezekiel 38, Ezekiel 39, these things, that's another thing. All right? The Ayatollah went down. All right, let's see what Russia does. Okay, let's see what Russia does. Okay? When Russia gets things jumping off, all right, when Russia make a move, then all right. Now we in the game. Now we in the game. Because we've always anticipated America going into Iran, because we thought automatically, instantly, that Russia would get involved because of Ezekiel 38. But things take time. All right? It's a process to everything. All right? So Ayatollah Khomeini, here it is. This dude is the high priest. You know, let's see how it all manifests. You know, let's see how it all takes place. So again, that word for rumor is, it's all ears. It's all hearsay. All right. See that ye be not troubled, or for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines. It's another thing that has to happen. Another famine is going to occur. And it says what? And pestilence. Another pestilence is going to occur. Something that's worse than 2020. That's all going to be simultaneously occurring in the midst of the downfall of America and the return of Yahweh Shai. Because pestilence is a great manipulator to get people to buy into a new system, aka the mark of the beast, aka the image of the beast. And earthquakes in diverse places. That's right. All right. And we're already seeing those different earthquakes. So prophecy has its own chronological order. It has its own timeline. So these things got to take place. All these things are the beginning of sorrows. I mean, everything is just jumping off. This is just the beginning. So it's going to take time. Like Apostle Tahar kind of been emphasizing, like, yo, all right, you know, and it's beautiful, you know, the men that stand in there a lot in regards to prophecy and knowing the different details of the markets and so on and so forth, and how these different countries operate. That's why you got to, you know, you got to stay tapped in, point blank period. You got to stay tapped in. All right. Got to stay tapped in. This is the book of Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10. It says, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of the Most High, that ye be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. What is the word wiles? It's different tricks, manipulation, AI, CGI, MK Ultra. That's what this devil's about. All right, that's a part of the wiles of the devil. Okay? For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Right? And That's what they're doing. They're invoking these particular spirits. They're tapping into their different priests and shamans and there's another word I'm looking for, but they're ultimately, there's a reason why they're doing things on particular days so they can get, it's a sacrifice being done. All right? There's a sacrifice Esau Edom is making every time he makes a move because he's invoking a particular spirit. All right? He wants to gain control over the minds of the people. That's the spiritual wickedness. That's what the rulers of darkness do. Just like when you go back to the story of Bel and the dragon, all right? The priest of Bel, they were manipulating the minds of the people, making them believe that Bel was real. But then it took Daniel to come and say, nah, that's not the real deal. All right? Same thing with the dragon, all right? It took Daniel to take the tar and he lit it on fire and it made the dragons explode to show forth what? The gods of the other nations are not real. These Edomites that are in power are not ruling through the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They're ruling through the spirit of the devil on the left-hand side. Okay? Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to withstand the evil day, and having done all to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girded about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness. I'm not going to go all into it, but the scriptures are self-explanatory. All right, this is what we got to be girded with. That's why you got to stay tapped in with the scriptures. That's why we got to, constantly be meditating on the scriptures, praying and praying, prophesying. All right, doing the work of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua so that he can feed us and show us. Because if you just, prophecy coming to pass and we put my feet up, you think the Most High Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is going to show you more mysteries? No. As every day gets closer, but we're getting fed. Look, the things that we may have thought, that's why it's going to tell you, we see through a glass darkly. However, that dark glass is getting brighter and brighter. Why? Because we're seeing everything that the scriptures, prophecy is jumping off the pages. So it's no longer a guessing game. The glass ain't so dark no more. All right? The Most High is just showing us, boom, this is what it is. This is what it's going to be. You know what to do. You know what to do. All right? The rest of the world about to go to shit. They're going to fall for the propaganda machine. They're going to fall for all the manipulation that's being drawn forth in this time, in this life. To where they're going to be hypnotized and they're going to be allured into receiving the mark of the beast. While we've been the ones telling them, no, not to take it, don't do it. All right? Because that's what all this is about. That's what all this is. The financial markets are going to be more manipulated, and it's going to get people to buy into comfort. The straight to hard moves and all these, these different places and things are getting shut down, the oils and, I saw another video where they were talking about, I don't know if it was Jason, one of them, he was talking about how the oil in Venezuela, they intercepted because China was buying into it, but there's a particular oil that Iran produces that America needs. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. All right? It's all about the money markets, the economy. All right? Who's up next to manage the earth? While people don't know what the hell is going on. Blessed are your eyes, for they see. Simon Bar Jonas. All right? Hey, we say that in the prayer, right? Passover, but the Sabbath service. All right? The water Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua for giving us the light to see. That light to see is the Holy Spirit. Okay? It's the unction. So that we able to know all things. And just like the Elder Monagon said, look, give it time. People are going to be, yo, what's going on? I don't know what the fuck is going on. People are about to be completely confused. You know? And eventually, those that, you know, their lamps not trimmed, they don't have that eye salve, they don't have that oil, they're gonna be casted away, and they're gonna receive the mark of the beast, and they're gonna be thrown in the lake of fire. They're gonna be tormented point blank, man. And I'll close on that, man. Call Lawyer Howard Bashim Shai, Bashim Akakwadash, Shalom to the elect.